The Calcutta Chromosome is a complex and multi-layered narrative that intertwines the lives of the characters across different time periods. The story alternates between the late 20th century and the early 20th century, exploring themes of technology, time travel, and medical research. Anter becomes obsessed with unraveling the mystery of Morrigan's disappearance and the significance of the Calcutta chromosome, a mysterious gene fragment linked to malaria. As Anter delves deeper into his research, he discovers connections between Sir Ronald Ross, L. Morrigan, and the enigmatic chromosome. The narrative weaves together elements of history, time travel, and speculative science to explore themes of identity, memory, and the blurring of boundaries between reality and virtuality. The story takes readers on a journey through different time periods, from colonial Calcutta to the near-future world of advanced technology. The Calcutta Chromosome offers a blend of mystery, science fiction, and historical fiction, exploring themes of scientific discovery, the impact of technology on society, and the quest for understanding in the face of the unknown.
The Sparrow tells the story of a group of people who embark on a journey to the planet Rocket after receiving radio signals of beautiful music from an alien civilization. The book explores themes of faith, culture clash, and the consequences of first contact. In the year 2019, the SETI program at Arecibo Observatory discovers radio broadcasts of music from the vicinity of Alpha Centauri. The first expedition to Rocket, the world that is sending the music, is organized by the Society of Jesus, known for its missionary, linguistic, and scientific activities since the time of its founder, Ignatius of Loyola. In the year 2060, only one of the crew, the Jesuit priest Emilio Sandoz, survives to return to Earth, and he is damaged physically and psychologically. The story is told with parallel plot lines, interspersing the journey of Sandoz and his friends to Rocket with Sandoz's experiences upon his return to Earth. The story alternates between their time on Rocket and the aftermath of their return to Earth, exploring the profound impact of their experiences on their faith, relationships, and humanity as a whole.
Dreaming in Smoke likely features a compelling and imaginative storyline set in a speculative future or alternate reality. Calypso Deed is the professionally disappointing test tube offspring of genius Earth-based parents that she has never met. In her role as Shotgun on the environmentally inhospitable planet Nain, Calypso is charged with the unchallenging responsibility of babysitting Earthborn colonist Azimuth Markson as he enters a virtual reality world called Alien Life, in order to solve the terraforming obstacles that prevent the Earthborn colonists and their Tnain-born children from venturing outside the man-made station. Through the merging of high-level mathematics and the dream world controlled by an artificial intelligence entity named Ganesh, Markson attempts to solve the oxygen problem that makes their lives so precarious, but instead he crashes the system, thanks to an unauthorized bridge from Alien Life to the core processing unit that was created by the rebellious Calypso so that she could listen to jazz music.
In 2044, following the collapse of the information economy, America is run by permanent emergency committees. The government is so broke it can't afford to pay people in the armed forces, who put up roadblocks in order to shake down travelers. A new Cold War is underway. Anglos are a distrusted minority. Privacy no longer exists, and cities are privately owned, outside of which nomad nation gangs roam, building laptops out of grass. Washington has become a circus, and no one knows that better than Oscar Valparaiso, who has a personal background problem. He's the adoptive son of a South American drug baron, and his laboratory-engineered genes aren't even entirely human. But he's a political spin doctor, and has always made things look good. Now he wants to make a difference. But Oscar has a skeleton in his closet. His only ally, Dr. Greta Penninger, a gifted neurologist at the bleeding edge of the neural revolution. Together they're out to spread a very dangerous idea whose time has come.
The plot of Perdido Street Station revolves around Isaac's pursuit of knowledge and his attempt to help Yagarek regain his ability to fly. Isaac Dander Grimebulin is a scientist living in the city of New Crobuzon. He is approached by Yagarek, a member of a bird-like species known as Garuda, who has had his wings removed as a punishment for an undisclosed crime in his native land. He asks Isaac to help him to fly again. Isaac agrees and starts collecting flying creatures for research purposes with the aid of Lemuel Pigeon, a fence with links to the criminal underworld. One creature is a large and unusual caterpillar, stolen from a government research lab. The caterpillar sickens until Isaac accidentally discovers it feeds on a popular hallucinogenic drug. It grows and starts to pupate. After reaching maturity, it emerges as a monstrous flying beast known as a slake moth, able to paralyze its victims using hypnotic patterns on its wings. It escapes after eating the mind of one of Isaac's colleagues, leaving him catatonic. Isaac, Yagarek and Lemuel resolve to recapture or destroy it.
The plot of Bold as Love follows Axe, Sage, and their companions as they navigate a politically unstable and chaotic Britain. As the rock and roll right gains momentum, they face opposition from powerful figures and encounter various challenges that test their resolve. The story explores the complexities of revolution, the consequences of wielding power, and the transformative potential of music in society. Axe Preston, a mixed-race guitarist from Taunton, having survived a government-organized massacre of the official Green Party, under cover of a pop culture reception, emerges as the true leader England desperately needs. He and his friends, also indie musicians, tackle a series of disasters, including a minor war with Islamic separatists in Yorkshire, and a hippie president who turns out to be a murdering pedophile. In the background, the whole of Europe is falling apart. In the foreground, there are rock festivals, street fighting, a rampage of green destruction, led and moderated by Preston, leaving a trail of burned-out hypermarkets, wrecked fast food outlets, and vast expanses of napalm-intensive farming. Axe Preston succeeds in supporting his country through the crisis, utilizing his guile, self-sacrifice, goodwill, and the power of the music.
The Separation is the story of twin brothers, rowers in the 1936 Olympics, where they met Hess, Hitler's deputy. One joins the RAF, and captains a Wellington. He is shot down after a bombing raid on Hamburg and becomes Churchill's aide-de-camp. His twin brother, a pacifist, works with the Red Cross, rescuing bombing victims in London. But this is not a straightforward story of the Second World War. This is an alternate history. The two brothers, both called J.L. Sawyer, live their lives in alternate versions of reality. In one, the Second World War ends as we imagine it did. In the other, thanks to efforts of an eminent team of negotiators headed by Hess, the war ends in 1941. The Separation is an emotionally riveting story of how the small man can make a difference. It's a savage critique of Winston Churchill, the man credited as the savior of Britain and the Western world, and it's a story of how one perceives and shapes the past.
The first book is a series of flashbacks from 1713 to the earlier life of Daniel Waterhouse. It begins as Enoch Root arrives in Boston in October 1713 to deliver a letter to Daniel containing a summons from Princess Caroline. She wants Daniel to return to England and attempt to repair the feud between Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz. While following Daniel's decision to return to England and board a Dutch ship, the Minerva, to cross the Atlantic, the book flashes back to when Enoch and Daniel each first met Newton. During the flashbacks, the book refocuses on Daniel's life between 1661 and 1673. While attending school at Trinity College, Cambridge, Daniel becomes Newton's companion, ensuring that Newton does not harm his health and assisting in his experiments. However, the plague of 1665 forces them apart. Newton returns to his family manor and Daniel to the outskirts of London. Daniel quickly tires of the radical Puritan rhetoric of his father, Drake Waterhouse, and decides to join Reverend John Wilkins and Robert Hooke at John Comstock's Epsom estate.
Iron Council is set in and around New Crobuzon, a sprawling London-esque city. New Crobuzon has for some unknown time been at war with Tesh, and is attempting to build a railroad across the outlying desert, partially as a new means of conducting this war. Against this backdrop, the novel follows the deeds of three main characters, Ori, Cutter, and Judah Lowe. Judah's story begins some 20 years before the novel's opening. Judah was hired as a railroad scout for New Crobuzon, charged with mapping terrain and informing the land's inhabitants of the railroad's coming. While doing so, he spends time with the Stilts pair, a race of indescribable creatures who can conjure golems, living creatures made from unliving matter. Judah attempts to warn the Stilts pair away, but they will not listen and he must settle for making a few recordings and beginning to learn their golemetric arts. Eventually, he returns to the railroad, which does indeed wipe out the Stilts pair. Shortly afterward, Judah, a prostitute named Anne Hari, and a remade named Usman lead a revolution in which the rail workers drive the overseers away, free the remade, and hijack the train, transforming it into a moving socialist dwelling.
Air is the story of a town's fashion expert Chung Mei, a smart but illiterate peasant woman in a small village in the fictional country of Kyrgyzstan, loosely based on the country of Kazakhstan, and her suddenly leading role in reaction to dramatic, worldwide experiments with a new information technology called AIR. AIR is information exchange, not unlike the internet, that occurs in everyone's brain and is intended to connect the world. After a test of AIR is imposed on May's unprepared mountain town, everyone and everything changes, especially May, who was deeper into AIR than any other person. Afterwards, May struggles to prepare her people for what is to come while learning all about the world outside her home. As the residents of the country gain access to AIR, they begin to question their traditional beliefs and values. The story explores the cultural, social, and economic changes brought about by the technology and the subsequent clashes between old and new ways of life.